what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2011 Ford Crown Victoria Taxi. Up front is a 4.6 liter V8, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be making this video here today because this is a New York City taxi cab, and this is a authentic one. This is not a copy. This is not a replica. This is the original medallion number for this taxi cab pulled out of service. And there are only a handful that ever got saved from New York City, and this is one of them. And so I'm so excited to share this amazing piece of not only New York history, but American history with you today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 4.6 liter V8. Well, it's the modular V8 from Ford, which is nothing new here for the Crown Victoria. However, it actually is a little bit detuned, where the standard Crown Victoria made about 250 horsepower. This made about 219-ish. So it is sluggish. It is slow, but it is dead reliable. This particular car, when purchased, didn't have a water pump and had been operating without one for several weeks or months with no water pump, and it was still going along. They replaced the water pump and it hasn't skipped a beat. That is how reliable these engines are. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic. Nothing really to note there. Pretty standard Crown Vic stuff. And last but not least, the taxi cab is rear-wheel drive. How does it feel to drive a New York City taxi cab? Something that so many have ridden in, but very few have driven. It drives like a normal Crown Vic. It's not anything too crazy or interesting. It does have a decently plush ride, but you could tell that the miles have been hard on this. It doesn't quite float and boat like other civilian Crown Victorias did. Visibility is okay, but you have a lot of screens, a lot of things to look at, a lot of operational tools. But at the end of the day, it's just freaking cool to be driving a New York City taxi cab. I mean, what a unique experience. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior, because this is where the taxiness really starts. Well, in front of me, I have the standard Crown Victoria gauges. Off to the left is my speedometer, in the center is my fuel and coolant temperature, and off to the right is my tachometer. The steering wheel is basic Crown Vic, normal. And off to the left, we do have our headlight switches, gauge dimmer switch, and our climate control vent. And moving on to the door, we have power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, up at the top here, this is the meter. This is an authentic working New York City taxi cab meter, and I'll let the owner, Nathaniel, kind of explain how it works.
It's 250, then you would press 3 for extras, and then that would bring up the extras.
Gotcha.
Then it would calculate as it would go, as you drive.
Okay.
And then that would usually be like 380 in extras and 250 for a flag.
Okay.
Once you were done with the trip, you would press 2, then 3, then 5, and it would print the receipt.
Oh, look at that!
And you can see, this is how a taxi receipt would look. You have your medallion number, driver number, the trip number, as well as the date, start time and end time, what rate you were going at, fare, extras, and the total, and then the TLC number.
Down below that, we do have the standard Crown Vic radio and 2 climate vents, and our standard climate controls. Nothing too crazy, although there is a switch for the rear, which the normal Crown Vic would not have. And then we have cup holders. We'll do a big friggin' bottle test. However, people always get mad at me. They're like, oh, it'll pass. You just have to pull the arms out. This is as far as the arms come out. It will not pass the big friggin' bottle test. Believe me, I tried. I want every car to pass. Speaking of American icon, hubba hubba. Then we do have the seats. It is kind of technically a bench seat, but people wouldn't really ride up here. They are cushy and bouncy, but the driver's seat does not go very far back because of the partition behind you. So it's not really comfortable. I'm 5'11", and even with the seat all the way back, I am a little crammed up here. So if you were a cabbie back in the mid to late 2000s and early 2010s, I hope that you were under 5'11", or else this was gonna be a very, very uncomfortable job. But speaking of seats, where you really wanna be in the New York City taxi cab is in the back seat. So let's go do a back seat review. So for the backseat portion, I'm actually having Nathaniel pick me up like he would any other cab goer. So what you would do for the youngsters without a phone, how would you call a cab without a phone? Well, all you would do is you'd see a cab, you kind of make eye contact. It's kind of this unwritten rule, and you just kind of, put your hand out, something like that, and they would signal and pull over. So Nathaniel will help walk us through this rear passenger compartment of a New York City cab. Hey, Nathaniel.
Hey, where are you headed?
Around the block.
Okay.
So once we are back here, as you can see, he just opened up the partition, which this had to be certified by the city of New York, right, Nathaniel?
Correct. Yes, the installers only existed if they were certified through New York.
Gotcha. We also have a little bit of a credit card payment, but the old-fashioned way over here was that you could actually slide money through here to the driver if the partition was closed, a little bit of a safety thing. We also do have a touchscreen TV that would get channels and whatnot. We have our own climate controls down here, which is really just fan speed, right? Or do I get temperature?
No, just fan speed.
Gotcha. We also have this rubberized floor. If you get sick, if someone, has something weird back here, you can pretty much hose it out. And you have these awesome grab handles. You have this sticker saying that assaulting a driver is punishable by up to 25 years in prison. The seats themselves are very, very cushiony, as you can see in my hand here, and there is some light padding on the back of the panel. But that's pretty much it. This is what it's like to be in the back of a New York City taxi cab. Am I missing anything, Nathaniel?
No, that's pretty good.
Tell us about this screen a little bit.
So the screen, they were custom built for New York City. For the TTPs, the taxi technology providers. They were leased to the drivers, and pretty much it's a whole Windows computer in the front seat that's hidden, and it runs these video ads. The advertisers would pay for spots on the car in the TV. Those would change every day based on a download module that would be in the front windshield over here, and would download new content to the car every morning.
All right, well, Nathaniel, well, thank you very much for the ride. This was really, really cool to experience this, especially since these are leaving service.
Absolutely. Let me just get your receipt for you. And are you paying cash or card?
I'm not paying at all.
Okay.
All right, around the back of the New York City cab, where you would put your luggage if you had a lot of it from JFK, LaGuardia, Newark, whatever it might be. Really, really cool to see that space. It is a typical Ford Crown Victoria trunk. It doesn't get any special anything beyond that, but definitely cool to see how many people have probably put their bags back here when seeing a new city or new part of the country or new part of the world. Very, very cool to have the opportunity to see that and use that in person. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and obviously this has retained all of its New York City taxi cab parts with the medallion on the hood, which we'll talk about in a second, the light at the top. This is the cab's original number, and it still has all of its markings. Now, the owner says that he's not allowed to drive it in Manhattan, which makes sense. I don't think that he would really get in trouble, but people still think that he's a taxi and try to flag him down and things like that, so it's just good to avoid Manhattan whenever possible. And honestly, if you want to keep your sanity intact, I would also recommend avoiding Manhattan. But let's talk about that medallion, because that was specific to this cab. Every cab had to buy or basically lease a medallion that was put on the hood that is unique to the vehicle and basically gave them the right to drive and operate as a taxi cab in New York City. Back in the 90s, it cost about $100,000 to get a New York City medallion. At the time of this car, when it was purchased in 2011, it was $250,000. And right before COVID, it had gotten up over $1 million per medallion here on the taxi cab. Now, you would actually mortgage these. You wouldn't have to upfront pay over $1 million. You would mortgage it, and the money that you would make would go towards paying that off. But that is one of the most expensive items I've ever reviewed here on the channel, is a New York City genuine taxi cab medallion that was at one point worth over $1 million. that is a cool piece of history here in the taxi cab. But with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a genuine and actual New York City taxi cab? Well, it's been an incredibly cool experience just to learn about all the intricacies of this vehicle, as we talked about with the back seats, with the medallion, with the paint, with the icons, with the meter. All of it has been really, really cool. But more than anything, I wanted to make this video as a sort of entry into the museum of shooting cars, and to have this video for prosperity's sake, because these are coming out of service. A service vehicle would last in the fleet for about 5 years. You could get an extension to 7 years if you could claim economic hardship, and then you could get 2 more years if you were still operating during COVID-19 and the COVID lockdowns. They extended all of them by 2 years to get through the pandemic. So this was in service from 2011 until 2012, meaning that these are going away. You're not going to see Crown Victoria taxi cabs pretty much anymore. And of course, with the introduction of Lyft and Uber and other ride-sharing services, we might not see the conventional New York City taxi cab for much longer, if at all. And so this is what it was like. I'm sure you watching the video, if you've ever been in New York City, you've been in one of these. Or if you're abroad and you've only seen one in movies, this is what they're actually like. This is a real New York City taxi cab. This is the intricacies of it, what made it special, what made it tick. And I was so excited to take you along for the ride with me here today. This is New York history, this is American history, and this is automotive history, right before our very eyes. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Nathaniel for letting me take out his New York City taxi cab. What an amazing, amazing experience. Nathaniel is so well versed in these vehicles, so knowledgeable, so friendly as well. I can't thank him enough. He's been fantastic to work with, and I hope to work together with him again in the future. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.